Well, hello. Today's the 1980 comedy Airplane. Ted Stryker abandons his taxi to go after his girlfriend, the flight attendant, after she leaves him. Through flashbacks, we find out that Stryker was a pilot during the war and met Elaine. He also bores many of the passengers to commit suicide with his stories. Stryker, though, is injured in the mission. This has seriously traumatized him. Food poisoning from the fish incapacitates half the passengers and all of the crew. The autopilot manages to keep the plane in the air. Stryker is the only pilot on the plane, and he must take over. Stryker's former commander is called to advise on the crisis. As the plane nears Chicago, conditions continue to deteriorate. Stryker, though, manages to safely land the airplane. So this comedy was written and directed by Jim Abrams, David and Jerry Zucker, and they were from Wisconsin and founded the Kentucky Fried Theater as a comedy group in the '70s. And of course, they were eventually able to make a movie called Kentucky Fried Movie, which I never heard, but it was mostly about their sketches, and it did fairly well. Enough where they were able to, get this movie made. And the main inspiration for this movie was a movie called Zero Hour that was done in 1957. I guess that's where the whole plot idea with the fish being food poison, and it incapacitates the crew in that came from that movie. And I just thinking how obsolete this movie is now, because they don't feed you on airplanes anymore. I remember back in the day they used to actually give you something to eat. I was a kid. I remember, like, flying, not even a large flight. They got like a little decent basket thing of food. And, the airline attendant wanted to make sure that I didn't get the bottle of wine that came with it. So my parents got an extra bottle of wine, and yeah, they were very generous about that now. And now you just get like a bag of peanuts and a real little tiny cup of soda or something to keep you over. Funny stuff. But anyway, and they also hired, like Robert Stack, Leslie Nielsen, Peter Graves, and Lloyd Bridges, who were at the time, just known for serious acting. They didn't hire comedic actors because they thought that would be more funny if they, lines were just, delivered in that kind of serious deadpan way. And they were right. It was a great idea. Actually gave Leslie Nielsen a career boost into comedy, and of course he go on to fame with the Naked Gun movies that the Abrams and Zucker brothers would do. And interesting thing is that they wanted David Letterman as the for the main character. It was actually written with him in mind, because I guess they kind of he auditioned for a part in the Kentucky Fried Movie, and they thought he would be great for it. But by this time he had no interest in the part. So, and they had some interesting choices they were going through: Chevy Chase, Barry Manilow, Bill Murray, Fred Willard, and Bruce Jenner, now known as Caitlyn Jenner. But they went with Robert Hayes, and I think that was a good choice. And also, part for Elaine, they also considered Sigourney Weaver and Shelley Long before Julie Haggerty. And this is a fun movie. It just it has all these kind of jokes or verbal puns, gags, running jokes, and that, and I think it's just hilarious. They don't really make comedies anymore because comedy would offend someone. So you have to always go to the past to watch these kind. I remember this movie was really funny. It was a very huge success. On a 3.5 million budget, it made over 171 million. So it was just a massive, massive success. And of course, it would spawn a sequel, which wasn't as successful. But this was considered like and still is, one of the most funniest movies ever made. I really love it, and it still gets some real chuckles from me. So if you stuck with me this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.